I think we are doing great now. All right, so guys, we are going to start. If you're having any problems hearing me, please let me know in the chat. You can see the chat button. If you click it, you can see the chat screen on your right. And that's where you can text me any comments and any notes. So today's meeting is going to be a speaking audio practicing, speaking practice, where I'm going to give you some vocabulary. The sound is great, that's good. I'm going to give you some vocabulary and we are going to practice it together with you. This meeting is for intermediate level. That's why I will try to slow myself down so you can hear me, you can understand me better, and I will try to use simpler vocabulary so it's not too stressful for you guys. I'm going to share my screen with you because I prepared a little presentation because I think some visual materials will help us to go through this meeting online. So let me just share it with you. Okay, so it should be visible, the screen. Can you see it? Is it okay? Is it good? Okay, perfect. So let's start our presentation. Yeah, increase your vocabulary with 6 words you didn't know. I think there are 6, maybe more. Let's check. So the first one is pricey. Pricey. First, I will give you a few seconds to think about the words and see maybe you know their meaning of it. So what is pricey? Pricey means expensive. And I see that some people are waiting on the list. And yeah, okay. So pricey means expensive. If something is pricey, that means that it costs a lot. So maybe take a few seconds to think of different things that are pricey in your opinion. And maybe you can let me know in the chat what these things are for you. So let me know in the chat what you think about pricey things. Oh, wait, yeah. So, oh, and I think I can see the chat here. Avocado, yeah, they are pricey. That is true, especially good ones. Good ones are really pricey. And good vegetables these days, that's for sure, Jewelry, yeah, definitely so, definitely. All right, so now let's practice. Let's practice how we can use these words in our everyday vocabulary. Here in front of you, you can see 3 different sentences where we can use this word pricey. I will give you a few seconds to think how you probably can translate them in English. And after this, quality can be pricey. Yeah, definitely, that's true. Quality and yeah, luxury things can be pricey. All right, and ta-ta, the translation. So the first one, this shop is way too pricey. I can't afford anything in here. That was for этот магазин слишком дорогой. This shop is way too pricey. If you want to intensify, усилить, if you want to intensify, if saying pricey is not enough for you, you can say it's way too pricey. For example, someone said an apartment. You can say this apartment is way too pricey. I cannot afford it. And afford means you can't buy it. You can't accept it. The next one, oh, their next one was "Это немного дороговато." It is a bit pricey. A bit means a little bit, like avocado. Avocado can be a bit pricey these days, for example. And the last one was "У вас есть что-нибудь подешевле?" Do you have anything less pricey? Less pricey. Let's accept some people. Anything less pricey. All right, that's great. I hope you have no questions about pricey. And for example, if you want to say that something is бесценно, бесценно, I will give you a few seconds. What do you think? And you can let me know in the chat if you know the answer. If something is бесценно. Priceless, exactly. That is correct. Priceless. It has no price. It has American, and it's both. It's American and British, but it's more slang. Actually, thank you for asking. Just remembered I wanted to give you this piece of information. It's a little bit of a slang, but these days it is so common that you can see it in a book, you can see it in a movie. For example, I'm reading a Harry Potter book right now, and I met this word there just in the book, and it's British writer, so it is very universal now. The next one is brilliant. And at the first glance, you can think that's a really common word, similar to Russian, but in Russian we don't really use it so much. But in English, they say brilliant a lot, really a lot. So like anything can be brilliant, like it's brilliant musician, or the music is brilliant. An idea can be brilliant. They use brilliant with everything. And basically that means great or excellent or wonderful. So what do you think? What things are brilliant for you? For example, I think that John Rowling is a brilliant author. It's a brilliant author. Yeah, it's like amazing. Exactly. But amazing, it's a little bit more American. British people use it also, but Americans, they like to use it more. But brilliant is a little bit more British. If you say brilliant, you sound more British. An idea, absolutely. A brilliant idea. All right. Lev Tolstoy, yeah. Actually, I have a lot of foreign friends who they're just crazy about Tolstoy and his Russian depression. They think it's very charming. All right. So now let's see. Here we have some sentences for you. Just give it a few minutes to think, how would you translate it, probably? What would be your best guess? And okay, we have no people waiting. That's good. Whoop. Not now. And now let's do it together. The first one, мы потрясающе провели время вместе. We had a brilliant time together. And notice, guys, that although we have time as uncountable, we say a brilliant time, because it's like a fixed expression. Have a good day, have a good time, have a good vacation, have a good one. Basically, when you wish someone to have a good time, you need this article. We had a brilliant time. We had a great time together. Он был невероятным работником, практически сразу же получил повышение. He was a brilliant worker and was promoted immediately. Immediately, it means at once, very quickly. To be promoted, to get a higher position. And the last one, он был выдающимся композитором своего времени. He was a brilliant composer of his time. So let's see. Yeah, one more person for our great company. So if you want to sound more natural, please use brilliance more. A journey, a brilliant journey. Yeah, why not? You can say so. It was a brilliant journey. We had a lot of fun together. A little homework for you. Maybe think of the last brilliant memory, an amazing memory. Maybe think of a brilliant journey and try to describe it a little bit for yourself using brilliance as much as possible. So get used to using this phrase. The next one is odd. And you can hear this two crazy pair of socks. Odd. Odd is a little bit more complicated. Maybe you can guess the meaning of this. Let me know in the comments if you know the phrase. Strange, yes. Good one. That is strange. Awkward, awkward, yeah, it's a little bit different. Awkward, it's more like inconvenience. You don't feel right. But odd, that is strange or weird. Yeah, weird is a good call. Yeah, strange, weird. So here we have some translation. And maybe think of odd things while you are thinking of the translation. What can be odd these days, nowadays? What odd things happened to you? Everything. Yep, I would say so. Everything is odd these days. That's so true. That's so true. Odd, yep, that's true. Odd quarantine, odd coronavirus. Odd words. An odd word? You mean like a fixed expression, an odd word? You know, it's like a strange word. Odd person. Odd person, yeah, definitely. Yeah, and person can be odd if the behavior is strange. All right, so let's see it. And I have something extra for you here. So the first one was странно, что она так поступила. It's odd of her to do that. Of course, you can say it's odd that she did it, or it's odd that she has done it. You can use perfect here because it depends on the situation and we don't know the context. Here can be both, but it's odd of her to do that. Or you can say, it's very odd of you. Очень странно, что так себя ведешь. It's very odd of you. The next one. Тебе не кажется их поведение немного странновато? Don't you find their behavior a bit odd? Again, a bit means a little. And don't you find, that's a good combination. For example, don't you think? You also can use that. But when you find something, it's like think. Like, I think it's odd. I find it's odd. All right. And какая странная ситуация? What an odd situation. And here we have something extra. What are the odds? That's a fixed expression. Can anyone let me know the meaning? Yeah, it seems odd also works. It's not the meaning of the phrase. I'm just seeing this from the chat, but it seems odd. That's a good phrase. So what are the odds? Any ideas what it can mean? Likeliness. Yep, that is true. It's true. Basically, when something is странные типчики, good one, but not exactly. The previous one, poker. From gaming, probably it came from there. Let's say you are in another country, and it happened personally to me when I was in Canada, and it's like it's the other part of the world. It's another continent. It's like the whole new world. And suddenly you see your childhood friends who you haven't seen for like 15 years. And you can say like, ну каковы шансы, right? Like, what are the odds? It's not very likely, возможно, likely, возможно. It is not likely that you would see this person from your childhood in another country, in the other part of the world. So you can say, what are the odds? It's very unlikely. And little homework for you, think of a situation where you could say this phrase and try to explain it in using as many odd words as you can. All right, and we are going further. Decent. The next word is decent. So a few seconds for you guys to think what it can mean, decent. And let me know in the comments if you know. This word is a little bit more advanced. Probably not everyone can know. Приличный. Yeah, one of the meanings. That's true. One of the meanings. Diligent. Depending on the context, it can be diligent, but I wouldn't say they are absolute synonyms. For example, a diligent student is a student who studies a lot, student who does his homework all the time. That's a diligent. But decent, okay, if you say that the weather is decent, it means that the weather is good. If you mean that the person is decent, the person is probably good as well. So it's more like, how would you say it in Russian? Oh my God, I forgot the Russian word. It's more like, oh, there. Not like good, как, нет, неприемлемый, because when we say приемлемый in Russian, it sounds not as great. It's like, nah. But decent, it means, oh damn, more than удовлетворительный. Okay, I forgot the Russian word. More than удовлетворительный. Приличный, пристойный. Thank you so much. Пристойный, exactly. Приличный, достойный. Достойный. Yes. Or it can be a synonym for good. For example, what is a decent job for you guys? Let me know in the comments. What is a decent job for you? What features does it have? A decent job. Good salary, definitely, yes. Good salary, yeah. A decent salary, you can say. Decent salary. Mm-hmm. Probably flexible work hours. What do you think? Flexible work hours? When people respect you, yeah, I would agree. I would agree, definitely so. When people respect you and when people appreciate your work, when people appreciate what you do, I think it's good place. Yeah, good. Good workplace, convenient one. That's great, guys. Thank you so much. So decent, достойный, приемлемый, high quality. Here you have some sentences, and I think you had some time to translate them. Now let's check them all together. У нее была хорошая репутация человека, который никогда не опаздывает. So, here it is. She had a decent reputation of a person who is never late. She had a decent reputation. Of course, you can say a good reputation, a great reputation, or a decent reputation. Their next one was сложно найти достойный выход из ситуации, в которую мы попали. It's hard to find a decent way out from the situation we have got into. Of course, you could have variations. That is possible. That's all right. You can say it's complicated to find. Or for example, instead of way out, you can say like solution from the situation. But the way out would sound better for this context. And the last one. Я уже слишком стар для вечеринок и хочу ложиться спать в приемлемое время. This phrase I heard from friends. Like a few days ago, I was watching an episode, and I think Chandler said this phrase. I'm way too old for partying and want to go to bed at a decent hour. So decent, I wouldn't say it's old-fashioned. People still use it in both American and British. Let's see if you have any questions. Yep, looks like you are all right. And let's move further. The next one is puzzle. I think you all know what a noun means. The puzzle, it's like a game. You can make a big picture out of little details. But puzzle as a verb, that's important, guys. Puzzle as a verb. What does it mean? Puzzle as a verb. You can say that something puzzles me. Do you know, guys? Let me know in the comments. If something puzzles you, what is the meaning of it? Or you can use it as an adjective, puzzling. You need to add ing ending, puzzling. Confused, absolutely. To puzzle means to confuse. Приводить в недоумение, yeah, basically, that's what it means. If something puzzles you, it confuses you. If you are puzzled, you are confused. What was the last puzzling situation for you? What was the last puzzling situation? For me, like when my flight was delayed, that was a puzzling situation because I didn't know, would I have the money back? Maybe I wouldn't. So that was a puzzle. It still is a puzzling situation. What were yours? Puzzling situations. The same flights, yep. I think it's, yeah. Education, yeah, that's really puzzling because all the lections, all the classes, they are moved online and not all the people, they are familiar with an online format. So that is puzzling. I was puzzled myself, for example, when they told me that now we'll have our meeting online, because I wasn't really familiar with the platform, so I was puzzled when I heard about it. All right, and now here we had some sentences, and yeah, that is puzzling as well. That's true, that's true. So, and now let's see, how did you deal with it? How did you deal with these sentences? So the first one, but вопрос ставит меня в тупик. This question puzzles me. This question puzzles me. That was pretty simple. All right. The next one. Он не знал, как поступить. He was puzzled how to act, or maybe how to react. Or he was puzzled what to do, for example. And the last one, она была сбита с толку их странным поведением. She was puzzled by their odd, by the way, guys, do you remember our word odd, the previous one? She was puzzled by their odd behavior. And here we have by, because it is this construction, be puzzled by. When we have passive and active voice, that is the passive voice, когда предмет не сам совершает действие, как книга написана кем-то, Толстым. So she was puzzled by. The book was written by someone. All right, let's continue. We have, I think it is the last one, and then we'll have a little practice all together. I will unmute you all, and we will try to have a conversation all together. Let's see how it works online. We have like 15 of us here. It shouldn't be that crazy. So fancy. Fancy is more advanced word, I would say, but let's deal with it. I believe in you, it will be all right. Fancy is a tricky word. You know that one side of English grammar that in English, all words, they have double, even more meanings. Fancy can be an adjective, прилагательное. It's a fancy car. If a car is fancy, what does it mean? Do you know, guys? Pretty, modern, and something even more than this. Beautiful, yes, but think of the Ferrari or, oh, I'm not good with car brands, like Mercedes, chic. Chic is closer, yeah. So basically fancy, it's all of this, everything that you have said, guys. It's pretty, awesome, elegant, chic, cool, but also expensive, pricey. If something is fancy, it's good looking and pricey. Exactly. Pricey car. Ferrari, for example, that's definitely a fancy car. But, oh, what is this? But fancy can be used as a verb. Can be used as a verb. For example, someone, for example, she fancies horse riding. She fancies horse riding. It means that she likes horse riding. And notice that after fancy, we need to use gerund. Gerund or a noun. For example, I fancy chocolate. Like, I love chocolate. I fancy chocolate. Or I can say, I fancy eating chocolate. What do you fancy, guys? Let us know in the comments. Let's share our desires. Do you fancy horse riding? Maybe? Or maybe chocolate? English? That's good. Or you can say that you fancy speaking English or maybe learning English. Sailing. Okay. Intelligence. All right. That's a good one. That's a good one. All right. Yep. So basically after fancy, you can use a noun or a gerund. Or a gerund. Another part of a homework. I would recommend you guys to think of gerund constructions that you can use with fancy, because it's a little bit more complicated. You might forget that we need to use gerund, so practice it especially with gerunds. Like I fancy like going in the park, or I fancy listening to audiobooks while walking. So whatever you fancy. Oh, all right. And now you have the answers. Accidentally. Yes, we had some sentences here to deal with. Этот отель выглядит просто роскошно. Не думаешь ли ты, что здесь будет дороговато? This hotel looks fancy. This hotel looks, or you can say just fancy. Just to intensify, чтобы усилить. Don't you think it might be a bit pricey? It might be a bit pricey. The next one. Я не горю желанием провести с ней выходные. I don't fancy spending the whole weekend with her. That's a good construction. I don't fancy spending the whole weekend. You can use it in negative. Like, I don't fancy going to sleep late today because tomorrow I have an early morning. Oh, another part of homework, try think of negative things. What don't you fancy? And say it with gerunds, because with gerunds it's a bit more tricky. So practice these first, and then you can maybe practice with nouns as well. All right, and the last one. Ты бы хотела что-нибудь выпить? Would you fancy a drink? Would you fancy a drink? Or for example, like, не хотела бы ты потанцевать? Would you fancy a dance? So you can use it as would you like? Would you like? Fancy is a really great word. Again, it's a little bit more British than American. So if you use it, you sound more British. If it's your purpose, please do so. or in American, you can use it as well. They perfectly understand this phrase. It's not a slang, it's an official language. And here we have some practice with you guys. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to try to unmute you. Oh, guys, can you hear me? Can you?
Yes, yes.
All right, wonderful. So guys, here we have some questions to discuss. What was the priciest thing you have bought so far?
An apartment.
An apartment. That's great. Definitely pricey. Was it fancy?
It's not built yet.
Okay. All right. That's good. All right, guys. Some other thing. The priciest thing.
Car.
A car. Someone said a car.
Yep.
Jimmy Choo bag.
Which one? What type of bag was it?
Jimmy Choo.
Okay. Is it a brand?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Really bad with brands. I'm so sorry. Yeah, the bag is definitely pricey. And the priciest one. All right, beautiful. Do you think, do you usually buy fancy stuff? Because I heard, for example, in Japan, people buy a lot of pricey things. It's like in their culture. Do you think in Russia we buy a lot of pricey things?
No,
Why not?
because Japan makes people more rich than Russian.
Yeah, they are more rich, they are richer. It's better to say they are richer than we are here. Their salary is more decent. Okay, so let's move to the next one. Here it is. Do you find modern books brilliant enough, or do you enjoy the classical literature more?
Modern books are exactly brilliant ones.
Modern books are exactly the brilliant ones. Oh, why not?
It's enough for classic literature in my school years.
Okay. Yep, definitely. We were forced to read a lot of classical literature.
Yes.
The time has come for modern books. Good. Guys, what do you think? What do you find more brilliant? The modern books or the classical literature?
I suppose they're both brilliant because they have their own their special thoughts, style, language, and so on. So they're both.
Yeah, definitely. We have the brilliant books, the brilliant authors in both of the genres or in both of the eras, in the modern one, in their old one. All right, let's move further. Do you behave or look odd sometimes? And in what way? I think we all do this sometimes, right? In what ways, guys? In what ways do you look or behave odd sometimes?
In a new place.
In a new place, that's true. Yeah, because you don't know what to do. Yeah.
And maybe talking to new people.
Yeah, especially in English. You can feel odd sometimes. Yeah. Any other examples?
Sometimes I feel odd when I talk to people that are not English-speaking people, and I try to connect, to communicate with them in their language, and that's really odd.
Yeah, right.
Because I used to work at the hotel, and so I had to communicate with them.
Definitely. So you had to like navigate people. You have to make in contact.
Yes. Although if they don't understand the English.
Yeah, and then if they don't understand anything, you go to like the gesture language.
Yeah,
that can feel odd.
Gesture language.
All right, thank you so much. The next one is oh, come on. Okay. Yes, I hope you can see it. What is a decent job for you? I think we have already discussed it. Yeah. But guys, do you have any other ideas? A decent job? Would you like to work online, remotely, or maybe in an office?
To spend less hours and get much money. A lot of
Good call.
Right.
Good call. Yeah. Spend less money but get more money.
Decent job when you can use English on this job.
Nice. Yeah. So it's like in English, his phrase is killing two birds with one
Yep.
stone. Yeah. Good.
Is it
All right.
decent or decent?
I'm sorry?
Is it decent or decent?
Decent.
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 Okay.
Sounds like desantnik. Decent. Decent. All right. Good call. Yeah. Let's go to the next one. Were you puzzled by the winter this year? Was the winter puzzling for you guys?
Yep.
Someone say no.
Yep, it was. We use the ski or some sledge this winter.
Right. So you had the possibility to go skiing or snowboarding.
No, we had no possibility, so that's why the winter was puzzling.
Absolutely.
Really puzzling for me and children.
Yeah, definitely. You can say the winter was odd. Yeah, and puzzling. And puzzling.
By winter, we are getting more used to warmness.
We are getting more used to warm winters. You think these days we are getting more used to it?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I remember in my childhood it was like minus 30 in the winter, but these days it's a little bit, it's not so cold, right?
Not a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
I was puzzled when I thought where is the end of winter?
Yep, yeah. All right, good. Okay, and let's take the last one, guys. Do you fancy buying fancy stuff? And I used two words of fancy on purpose here. So it's like kind of like a joke here. So do you fancy buying fancy stuff? What do you think?
Clothes. Always.
Clothes.
Just fancy stuff for something cheap.
Okay, all right.
Like a useless ring, for example.
So do you think
useless cheap ring or earrings or jewelry, like cheap jewelry?
So basically you don't fancy buying fancy stuff. You don't like buying expensive stuff. You like more to buy something not as expensive, because fancy stuff can be useless.
Do you mean fancy is expensive?
Fancy, yeah. Fancy, it's like a synonym for expensive. If something is fancy, it is good looking, but also expensive. It's like double meaning in one word. Yeah. So if you say that you fancy buying fancy stuff, you like buying expensive things, like expensive jewelry or expensive, well, anything, clothing can be expensive, right?
I like to buy fancy stuff, but I don't like to pay for that.
Good position, yeah. You like buying, but you don't fancy paying for that.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, I would agree, yeah. All right, okay, guys. So I will just stop sharing the screen and just give me a second. Okay, I think we are back to the normal screen, right? Okay, so what I recommend you to do, guys, today. This video is recorded, so that's why the British Book Center, I think they should post it on their page. You will have chance to check it out again, and you will have a chance to go through the words. But I would definitely recommend you to create some examples, maybe to answer these questions again that I had at the very end of our meeting, using as much as you can, this vocabulary, as many of these new words as you possibly can. And then when the current time is over and you come back to the British Book Center, you can practice it together with me, together with us at the next meeting. I hope it will be live. I hope it will be in the studio, or in the center, in the British Book Center. But if not, we'll be waiting for you all here. And before we finish today, guys, do you have any questions for you? Do you have any questions for me about these words we had today? All right.
Thank you.
Yeah,
for the
someone.
brilliant lesson.
Pardon me?
Thank you for the brilliant lesson.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. It's very kind of you. Someone has said that very different words of different topics, they can be, they are different when you speak about different things. It can be a verb or it can be an adjective, fancy. Or it can be, for example, like a fancy book. It's a good looking and it is an expensive looking. So don't forget that when you use fancy, it also means an expensive thing, but also good looking. Also, think of the Ferrari car, and like it's the best, I think, illustration for me. All right, guys, thank you so much, and hope to see you all again. This video will be available on the British Book Center website, and see you all, guys, soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye. Take care.